Welcome to another TDM discussion.
Hey everybody, TDM Tim here, and I'm here with
TDMTA.
and we're going to have a little crack at another TDM discussion. We've moved on from budgets, numbers can get a little boring after a while, and we wanted to hit some more hot topics. And so today we have two of those for you. We have privacy in the digital age, which is referencing the news of Cambridge Analytica and Facebook and all of the recent debate that has been around that really controversial topic. It's very sensitive. And then as well that we will move on to the trade wars, to the amounts of protectionism and tariffs that are returning to this world. So we'll start first with privacy in the digital age, and specifically referencing the incident with Cambridge Analytica. And just in case you're not up on the know of what may have happened with Cambridge Analytica, Cambridge Analytica is a political research group in the UK that does media advertisements and such for different politicians around the world, on top of more controversial things that they supposedly do. At least they self-admitted in an interview. Channel 4 in the UK did a investigation with them, an undercover investigation, and they sent in the client, and they interviewed with the CEO and had a couple lunches, and the CEO admitted to some particularly shady stuff, business practices that they do. We're not here to talk about that specifically, more about the issue with Facebook. Now, Cambridge Analytica used a Facebook app to gain permission to not only... if you haven't used Facebook before, when you use an app, it will ask for your permission to gain certain amounts of data. Well, back before 2014, they could ask for the permission to gain your friends' data if your friends agreed to their data being open like that. Well, Cambridge Analytica made an app that I think got somewhere around 300,000 downloads, or a representative of Cambridge Analytica did. It got 300,000 downloads, but the amount of friends that they had led to something like upwards of 10 million Facebook users. I think they're estimating now 70 million. But a large portion of Facebook users where they could gain access to most of their data, including some kind of sensitive data. Essentially, what Cambridge Analytica did with said data is they would build a profile on you to try to understand how to target ads and fake news and a myriad of different things at you to try to get your attention. And they had two groups, essentially, because this was the 2016 election we are discussing here. The first group is people that were on the edge about voting for Donald Trump or not, and so those ads were targeted towards them to convince them. And then their second group that they mainly targeted were people that were on the edge about voting for Hillary Clinton, a lot of Bernie supporters and such, and those ads were targeted specifically to try to convince you not to vote for Hillary. The issue with all of this, though, goes back to 2014 again. 2014, Facebook changed their policy. In 2014, Facebook no longer allowed apps to gain access to friends' data, only to the data of the person that agrees to the permission. In that change, and somewhere I think it was around 2016, they discovered that the representative of Cambridge, who had created that app, had shared that data of those 70 million or some people with Cambridge Analytica. And that was against Facebook's terms of service, as far as I understand, at that moment for developers to do. And so they asked for both parties to delete all of their data. Currently, there is an investigation that Facebook has paid for that is confirming that all of that data was deleted. But it sounds like from Channel 4's undercover investigation that data was not deleted. At least not before 2016 and the 2016 election. So this is the current story that has brought this topic to the front of people's minds and to the greater discussion of society in total. but the concept of privacy in the digital age has been an issue for quite some time. I'm sure, TA, you understand about our Google overlords and all of the information that they gather from us. And so I think we need to first set an understanding between you and I on where we are in this position. Do you think it is, I wouldn't want to say good business, but moral business to have your business model be based around collecting data from your customers?
I want to say yes and no, with like a giant asterisk above that. I'm going to say yes because, I mean, I'm going to say yes, but with the side note, like a huge side note, that you make it very clear and you make it readily available to have that information to your customer, or well, to whoever you're buying that information off of, that they know where that information's going, that they know what information's being taken, and that they know exactly what it's being done, or what exactly is being done with that information. But the problem is that that doesn't happen, and chances are that is a thing that probably would never happen under a system that we have at the moment, and probably in the near future. So with that said, I mean, I'm against this whole idea of corporations buying our information, especially when we don't know what's being taken, what's being done with it, all that stuff. So, if that makes any sense.
No, it does, and I will quickly answer my own question to give my view on that. But to expand upon what you said, I agree with you to a certain extent. The issue we are having, and the reason we are even having this conversation, is because we are in the age of big data. We are in the age of information, and the problem with our current progression is that this age of big data has caused most of what we enjoy and use on a daily basis. Most services from Google would not be possible in a financial sense and would not be possible in a technical sense if it weren't for this big shared data. Google search understands what you're looking for because it collects a portfolio on how you search and what you search for. And that allows for more shady things like these targeted advertisements, in my opinion, which is kind of shady. But it also allows for great things, like Google search knows what I'm looking for to some extent when I word things. And it also leads me to new connections that I wouldn't have developed on my own because of the portfolio they build of me and the portfolio they build of average people, and they put those connections together. So I would agree with you to an extent. I think the issue we need to have fixed here is not that it needs to be prevented that companies have the ability to have this business model, but that people are the first proprietor of their data. They are the first owner of their data, first and foremost. And so, for instance, now our laws are simply that you have terms of service that will explain to you what is being done typically with your data, but it's 40 plus pages, 50 plus pages that the average user ignores. Now, I think what needs to be done is that each individual variable of data, so like I have a couple variables I can name right now, my age, my height, each variable of data needs to be personally agreed by the individual to be shared. And they also need to have control, as you said, of where is their data going. So you may not want your data to be read by political groups. You may not want to be targeted by political ads, and therefore may not want your data to be shared with them. And so I think that we'll need to come to some understanding of that. Do I think it will happen? I'm not so certain, because once again, like I said, a lot of the progress that we have made is because of this free and available data. Well, not free, but vast, available and easy to get data. So a lot of progress has been made in the age of information because of that. I would like to switch just a little bit and pivot over back again to Facebook and Cambridge Analytica in specific recently, and I believe this was today or yesterday. No, it was today. Mark Zuckerberg arrived to Capitol Hill to have testimony before what was it? It was the House of Representatives. I can't remember what committee though. In that meeting, he laid out a couple details, created the history, as I said, of Cambridge Analytica and Facebook's relationship and what happened in between them, and some more general ideas. But they also laid out what their plan of attack is to fix Cambridge Analytica and to fix fake news. Another thing for another discussion, but something important to them. So when it comes to Cambridge Analytica and the data, they have agreed to these key points. They haven't agreed with anyone. They have decided themselves for these key points. They're removing developers' access to your data if you haven't used the app in the past 3 months. We are reducing the data you give an app when you approve it to only your name, profile photo, and email address. That's a lot less than apps can get on any other major app platform. So if a basic app on Facebook can only receive your name, profile photo, and email address, we're requiring developers to not only get approval, but also to sign a contract that imposes strict requirements in order to ask anyone for access to their posts or other data beyond the previously mentioned variables. We're restricting more APIs like groups and events. You should be able to sign into apps and share your public information easily, but anything that might also share other people's information, like other posts and groups you're in or other people going to events you're going to, will be much more restricted. And 2 weeks ago, they found out that a feature that lets you look someone up by their phone number and email was abused. This feature is useful in cases where people have the same name, but it was abused to link people's public Facebook information to a phone number that they already had. When we found out about this abuse, they shut down the feature. So I like a lot of what they're saying there, but my question for you, TA, is this too little too late?
I mean, yeah, I would say so.
Let's split that in two. Is it too late, and is this enough?
It's probably too late. I mean, at this point, well, I don't know actually, because my question, I'm not a legal expert, so I don't know, but I would imagine, my gut instinct would be, now that they're going to be restricting this data, to people who can't buy it, or rather not that, rather making it so you can say, or make it more clear who if you're allowing data to be sold or given to these other groups or these other companies or whatever had to be. Are they still allowed to use that data even though they've already gotten it? So like if they bought my data, if they bought my browsing history or my shopping tendencies online, whatever information they want or whatever they happen to have bought, after they've already bought that information, and after that this has been put into place, do they still have access to that information? Are they still able to use that information in any kind of legal sense or in any kind of marketing sense, where they can still market? Like if it's a company, like say it's Amazon, are they still allowed to use my information to do whatever they would do normally?
Well, my understanding is that Facebook's terms of service, when it changed in 2014, is that you were supposed to delete all of the data that you had gathered that was no longer allowed to be gathered. So it hasn't obviously been enforced too well because they had to hire investigators to search through Cambridge Analytica to actually see if the data has been deleted. So obviously they didn't do any enforcing of it, but their stance is that you're not supposed to have access to this data that you originally gathered before, and so you should no longer have it. As well, they have made the change, as I mentioned earlier, that if you don't use the app in the last 3 months, they no longer have access to that data. But that's all corresponding on the fact that they follow I believe this is also in the terms of service. Essentially, you're not supposed to hold on to the data you get from Facebook themselves. You're supposed to leave it through the Facebook servers. Through your interaction with Facebook, that is how you get the data. You're not supposed to back it up to your own system.
Yeah, so basically, you like for example, Amazon can't have records on my data. They have to go through Facebook to find that data.
Yeah, as far as I understand, that is how it's supposed to be, and that's how it's supposed to have been since 2014, but they haven't had great enforcement of it.
Well, then that makes me, that seems like a big deal. That seems like the number one thing, one of the number one things I would have done is enforcing that. I would have made sure that's being enforced.
Well, when I say enforcing, I think the big distinction is, like, for instance, with Cambridge Analytica, the second it was discovered to them that they were breaking it, they no longer had access to any more data. They no longer had access to Facebook's servers and Facebook's platform. But the problem with enforcing it beyond that is that, as far as I understand, that'd be a breaking of terms of service. And so you would have to enter into a legal dispute, and you would be doing that with probably countless dozens of partners.
Yeah, I guess.
It's not to say that what they did was right. I think they were kind of immoral of how they handled people's data, just to say that we don't have a system where this can be enforced well beyond the company taking the other company to court.
Yeah. And yeah, I understand that. That's not something that's even remotely feasible for even a company like as big as Facebook. But yeah, I guess I'm glad that they jumped on it as soon as they found out. That's good. It's not like they just let it sit in the air for a while and then we're like, oh, fine, we'll do something about it. I guess I have to give them at least some props for at least doing it immediately.
But at the same time, I have a deep feeling within my mind that this was Facebook's plan until they got caught. Like, they were enjoying the success they got off of how easy it was for this data to be shared.
Probably totally. I'm not saying that I'm definitely not saying that Facebook is some kind of moral arbiter here. But like at the same time, at the very least, at least they did it like they acted immediately. That's like a silver lining, I guess, would be the phrase to use.
Yeah, the best we can hope in our current system. Well, that is a short discussion on the issue of privacy in the digital age. There's many more things we could cover on it, and in further discussions we will probably break down fake news and such, but it is time for us to move on to the looming trade war. Thank you for watching another TDM discussion. Once again, if you like this content, please leave a like and subscribe, and, more importantly, comment and let us know what you think about this. We'll be sure to get back to you and maybe we can have an interesting discussion. As well, as always, the link to our Discord group is down below. We have recently started up a new book club and we are reading through at least a book a month. So if you wish to join in, see what books we are reading and read along and discuss with us, we will be doing that. Check out the TDM website, the link is below as well. And as always, have a great day.